I spent 6 wonderful years in the House of Representatives, and it was, even though I've owned my own business for the last 30 years, being a state representative was the best job I've ever had, bar none. And I even cut the grass at the Professional Football Hall of Fame for 2 years in Canton, Ohio, and that was a pretty good job too. Being a state representative, and by the way, I am actively running right now for the state Senate. Being a state representative taught me a lot of things. I thought I knew a lot about government before I went in. When I got there and began working on appropriations, I found out how little I really knew about government. I learned a lot, and I served on appropriations for 6 full years. It was a fantastic experience. I was there. Well, I did, as Ken said, serve as chairman of 2 major committees at one time. It was a big-time chore. I served as chairman of the corrections budget, which was $2 billion, and I served as chairman of labor and economic growth, and that budget was $1.5 billion. I was the only appropriations member that had 2 major committees underneath his belt. Ken Matteo and I and 2 other people, for a better part of 6 months, worked 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. During this time, we were personally responsible for cutting almost $260 million out of the state budget that we deemed wasteful spending. The Speaker of the House put roughly $45 million back into these budgets in the final budget negotiations. So we netted out at roughly $205 million that we cut from these budgets. We were the only staff during this time to make a cut in government spending, a real bona fide cut. I was very proud of my staff. You know, during the 6 years there, in fact, my good friend Candace Miller asked me before I went in, she said, "Jack, what committees do you want to serve on?" And I said, "I want to go on appropriations because I want to bring some dough home to the district." And she said, "Well, that's all fine and good, Jack." She said, "But you know what? Michigan's in trouble. And I don't know if appropriations would be the best committee to serve on." She said, you might get stressed out. She said, along with all the other members. She said, it's going to be really, really tough financially in Michigan for the next few years. She was right, 100%. A lot of people dropped off of appropriations after 4 years. I stayed the entire 6, and I'm glad I did. It was a fantastic experience. During this time, Jennifer Granholm, whom I will say, I know a lot of people just from being an elected official, but I also know a tremendous amount of people in the business world. Out of all the people that I know, I would rank Jennifer Granholm in the top 5, not the top 5%, in the top 5 people that I know for being inept. She no habla inglés, no, I mean, really, she just doesn't understand. Many times, the governor will call me into the what we call the caucus room. Say, "Jack, you know, I know you're a small businessman. I appreciate your knowledge and whatnot. What are we doing wrong, right, whatnot?" All it was lip service. She never listened to me. She never listened to anybody. She only listened to her husband, who is a supreme liberal, who basically came out of Ed McNamara's machine, who made a specialty out of receiving no bid contracts from the Detroit Metropolitan Airport. And that's a fact. Okay? Michigan, during the last, I would say, 3, maybe 4 years, has been plagued by big-time budget problems. And I was part of the 2007, what we call lockdown. Now, we were locked down for 64 straight hours. Now, even if you're locked down with people you like for 64 hours, I gotta tell you, about 40 hours goes by, hey, get away from me, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Go brush your teeth, do something, but you're eating pizza, you're eating Mexican food, maybe some hot dogs for 64 straight hours. Believe me, it gets old. People are sleeping on the floors, people are sleeping at their desks. But I'll say this, the debate, as the time went on, grew very, very contentious. Conservative Republicans felt like we were in an Alamo, and we were holding out. We were not giving in to Governor Granholm's request for one of the most massive tax increases in Michigan history. She wanted $1.5 billion tax increase. Now, I'll tell you what I did when I got on appropriations, and I might, in my remarks slide here and slide there, but it's just part of, I'm kind of talking off the cuff here, but you know when people start throwing around figures like $1 billion, one day I was thinking, I was at my desk and I thought to myself, what's $1 billion? How much is $1 billion? Well, I got to tap on my calculator, and you know what I found out? It's always a pleasure to find out new things, learn new things. $1 billion is 1,000 million. Someone hits the lottery for $282 million. We think, oh, wow, that's a big number. Well, $1 billion is even a bigger number. So that's what we're talking about here. She wanted $1,500 million increase, and we held the floor. During the debate, many people spoke, and let me tell you, it takes a lot to keep my mouth shut, especially when I feel passionate about something. And I'm not going to back down from anybody. I don't care who they are. And I'm not going to take a back seat to anybody. That's just the way I was raised, and that's the way I'm built. The Democrats, Granholm, needed 1 vote. Yeah. Well, the debate's going back and forth, and finally I got up and I denounced this tax plan because no one on the Democrat side would talk about the fact that the governor had $767 million of additional spending increases built into this budget. Okay? All she had to do was back them out. And we're halfway home. We don't have to have a $1.5 billion tax increase. Hey, I'll tell you what, give me 24 hours with Ken Matteo, my son Brian, and a couple other guys. Hey, we'll cut $500 million out of this budget like you wouldn't believe. Anyways, I got up on the floor and basically said that.